Welcome gamers to the start of a new Let's Play series. We're going to be looking at Galactic Civilizations 4. My name is Daz Tactic. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're going to enjoy this series. I'm really looking forward to playing it actually, just sort of showing off what this game can do. I'll have to take a couple of bites at it though, because there is not all of the stuff that should be here at launch is not quite in here just yet. So I will be doing a follow-up series at some point in the future. I do love playing this game, so it's not an onerous task at all. It's funny, I've got certain games that I do look forward to having, I guess, excuses to come back to it. And this I think will be one of those sort of games. It's a game with a lot to like about it, a lot of polish in the way it's all been put together. So I'll go through that in this episode, mainly just going through the changes, I guess, above GalCiv 3. So Galactic Civilizations 4, certainly from people who didn't really like Galactic Civilizations 3 are liking what they're seeing with GalCiv 4. So if you're one of those gamers that didn't really get into Galactic Civilizations 3, maybe have another look at this one, because this one does have a lot of intricacies in certain aspects, but without it getting too much in your way. It's one of these games where you can delve really deeply into what's going on, or you can play superficially. It's entirely up to you, and I think that works quite well. This is a game, of course, with multiplayer in mind, so you can actually sort of play multiplayer in the actual game itself. And that usually for me is a bit of a red flag that I won't really enjoy the game. And there certainly are aspects of the game that I wish would handle differently. For example, I really don't like the way combat is handled in this game. I never have in any of the games in the series. I've always earned for sort of more of a more control over what actually happens in combat. So I don't really like the combat. So that's probably the big negative for me. Look, all of these games are going to have certain things that you like and dislike, but this game, as I say, does actually have an awful lot to like, with a few little things, a few reservations from my side. I don't know if they'll ever fix the combat, in my opinion, and I believe it does need fixing. For me, it's just way too boring. But I know that whenever I say that, I'll get a lot of comments from people saying, no, it's absolutely perfect, just leave it the way it is, it's just ideal, because you don't have to get too involved in it. I will go through how combat does work though, because there are some changes to the way that combat is handled in the game. I think it's changed a little bit. Anyway, I'll talk about that when we get into the actual game itself. I will talk about the nuances of a lot of things when we get into the game, but I will just cover, just in a broad brush, the differences that we actually do have in the game in this particular version. So with that in mind, let's just go, and I guess we'll have a quick look at the options, so you can sort of see through this one here. I've actually just turned the music up. I normally have it turned way down, but the sound and the music in this game is just phenomenal. So I do want to actually sort of show that and have that sort of running while I actually play the game. It's just beautiful what they've done with the music score. Every faction has its own music, which is just brilliant. It's just like, it's beyond brilliant, really, the way that they've actually done it. It's just the attention to detail in these sorts of aspects are just incredible. Yeah, graphics is sort of pretty stock, sort of standard stuff in through here. I do like the way that Stardock does this. They have like a lot of different sorts of ways of managing your settings. Like if you go into gameplay, for example, or interface, the interface, you've got all sorts of sliders, and quite often, if you've got something that you wish could be done in the game, like clipping the cursor, for example, I know a lot of gamers like to have the cursor clipped. I actually don't, because I actually have to manage things across with the recording. I use two screens, so I don't like having the cursor clipped, but I know a lot of people with multiple monitors will prefer to have that, for example, turned on. But you'll often find that if there's something that you really wish was in the game, have a look in here under interface. Gameplay doesn't have that much in it, but you can tweak things, you know, like so it sort of so it satisfies the way that you want to actually be playing, which is as I say is really cool. I'll just click on done through there. The areas in the game that are sort of, I guess, are the biggest negative in the game, and I will just cover that one right now, is that it is an exclusive on the Epic Game Store for a set period of time, and I'm guessing it's going to be a year, but I'm not sure. And that for me is a shame that that's the case, because it does mean that a lot of you guys that are watching this will probably now switch off from the video and watch the series, but also it means a lot of you won't get to play the game unless you actually do get the Epic version of the game. I don't know if you can get it directly from Stardock. I'm not sure if you can or not. I know that they do take orders on their site. Maybe you can get it that way. But anyway, I think it's an Epic exclusive. And look, personally, I really don't don't like Epic Game Store on a personal basis. So I much prefer playing games on Steam than I do on Epic. Yeah, but unfortunately that's just the way it is at this stage. So for gamers, I guess if you're a bit like me, I mean, I do actually have Epic on. I try to minimise what it sort of has loaded in at any one point in time, but I will be playing this game, as I say, over the coming months. This is one that I really don't mind it being on Epic. So with that in mind, we'll sort of move forward, but that's probably going to sort of disappoint. I know some of you really feel quite strongly against these sorts of exclusives, but they do allow games to be developed, and this one is beautifully developed. From what I've sort of seen in the gameplay that I've actually had when it's been in sort of test mode. What else can we show you in through here? Another negative with the game at the moment, if we go across into download mods or upload your own mods, there are missing areas. Civilization, for example, is coming soon. Ship style sets are coming soon, and mod packs are coming soon. So these haven't been coded in yet the game is launched. So I don't like seeing that when a game actually goes into launch mode as such, but it's only a minor thing. But for me, I'll be wanting to build my own civilization. That's sort of something I do want to do in the game. So it's not quite there just yet. And as I say, the game has just launched today. I don't know how long that'll take to get in there. It's not dramatic. It doesn't sort of change the way that the game plays. The actual gameplay itself, I haven't seen anything that I'm thinking of. You know, I have. I have seen something where there's some tooltips that are the wrong way round and little things like that. But anyway, they'll eventually get those sort of fixed anyway. But the attention to detail is exceptional in the game, but this is not working yet. The ships certainly are. So you can sort of upload your own ships. You'll see there that Derek Paxton is on the development team of the game. And if you don't know the name Derek Paxton, Derek is Kale, I think his old name was. That was his Civ modding name way back in the day. I was a big fan of his mods. He did the best mod at that stage for Civilization called Fall from Heaven and Fall from Heaven 2. Beautiful mod where he changed Civ into a fantasy game. It was just incredible. And then he joined Stardock. Oh God, how long ago was that? Way back when Elemental had just been launched. And Elemental, if you don't know that game, that was a fantasy game. It was launched with a lot of problems, like a hell of a lot of problems. And Derek came in. He was then employed at Stardock at that stage to try to fix Elemental. Fallen Enchantress was the result of Derek's involvement with Elemental, and Fallen Enchantress was really an exceptional game in its day. It's still being actually updated. It got updated a couple of months ago, I think, was from what I sort of saw in Steam. I sort of noticed that it actually had come through with an update. Anyway, Derek has been involved now at Stardock for just forever, and I've got a lot of respect for what Derek actually does. I've got a lot of respect for what Brad does as well. Brad Wardell, the CEO and founder of Stardock as well, is very heavily involved in, for example, AI development and game concept, etc. with these sorts of games. So that the two of them together are a really, really good team, along with everyone else that sort of works at Stardock. So anyway, it's I like when you sort of see people who really know their craft, and these guys do, like it's you're going to get something fairly special with the involvement that they actually do have with the game. Anyway, I won't sort of be too much of a fanboy with all that stuff. We'll just continue on. Click on done. We'll go to new game, and I'll just go through some of the changes. We won't make this the game start. I'll just sort of show you what the game actually does have. So when we come through, first of all, there's heaps and heaps of different factions you can play and in through here. So there's lots and lots of them. Now, one thing, including like a random civilization down through there, we can just click that one and just have them choose randomly. Now, one of the really cool things I like about this is there's no snaffy in the actual game. I really dislike the snaffy in GalCiv 3. I don't know if they're in GalCiv 2 as well. The snaffy, and I can show you actually what they are. If I go to create civilization, I can go and create my own civilization based on snaffy. If we go down and find them, where are they? They were sort of cutesy. Here they are here. Snaffy are clever and resourceful, but very likely to be criminals. Now, I don't mind them being criminals, but we can sort of select them there as the sort of citizens that we actually have. We can go, of course, to our foreground. I don't know if there's no animation of the snaffy, thank God. If there was, I'd be thinking, oh, well, they're coming soon. But I don't like them in the game. I would like to have certain factions turned off where they just don't show up in the random area. And so if snaffy do get introduced, if anyone from Stardock is watching, please have it so that we can actually have them so that they do not, like, it would be cool if you can say, I don't want to be playing with this, like, I want random factions, but not this particular faction. Snaffy is definitely one of those that I don't like playing. I like the way that they play. I just find the immersion, or the lack of immersion, because they're sort of a squirrel character, just ridiculous, and it sort of annoys it. It upsets me when I play the game. Anyway, I'll just click on done there. So this is the Snaffy, of course. I could then just grab a Snaffy. Snaffy, is that the same guy? No, that's this one here. Just click on done. The fact that they've been updated bothers me because it means that they're coming. And the fact that they're actually in the game as citizens also bothers me to a degree. So you can, if you do like, and I know that a lot of you like the Snaffy, because whenever I've actually raged about it in the past, you've actually all sort of, I get a fair few comments saying, Snaffy were great. They were a good faction. I just hated the fact that they were squirrels. And, it just annoyed me. Having said that, I really like Guardians of the Galaxy, where you've got Rocket, for example. I think he's a great character, but it's just, I don't know, in GalCiv, I just found it a bit ridiculous. So, it sort of did destroy the immersion for me when they were actually in the game. As I say, I love the way that they played. I just didn't like the actual graphics and the immersion factor. Anyway, so you can actually sort of set them up. By the way, you'll notice that I'm introducing a new concept, which is citizens. So citizens are now very, very important, and you can see there's a lot of them in here. There's a lot that aren't even in the core factions, and there's a lot of core factions in the game, but there's a lot that actually aren't in the game that still actually have citizens, like the Snaffy, like the Trandall, the Taiwan, for example, these sorts of things, the Korath. Now, some of these come from, what's the game? A game like Star Sector, I think it is. A game that I never really enjoyed, to be honest. So a few of these are coming from those. You've got the Thalon. So you've got a whole lot of other different things that you can sort of then go and introduce those, or having just random citizens as well. This appear. So we end up with a real sort of cross-section of different random civilians that do come into the game. And I'll show you that in this episode as well. So we'll sort of get into it. I'll start a game so you can sort of see how citizens actually do work. Anyway, this is pretty cool. So you can sort of choose whatever you do want. I won't build the Snaffy, but that's the civilians have a bigger role than just graphics. So they actually do play a big role in the game itself. You'll see when I hover over them. This is one where I can press the shift key and then go across. So the Korath, if you thought the Drengan Empire were just agreeable, the Korath are even worse. They have an incredible resolve and diligence. So I can then hover over this one. Resolve modifies a leader's skill at military tasks. A high resolve makes for a powerful commander. For civilians to resolve is important for soldiers. So there is actually a way of building the civilians, and this is what I wanted to actually do as a mod. So until that's done, I won't play my own faction. I will then introduce them eventually. But so the Snaffy will actually have their own set of parameters, which we don't get to see at this point in time. But there is going to be, there would be settings that they actually have that we will eventually be able to then go and change ourselves. So there's more nuance, there's more depths to the actual game than there was before, and that's really quite cool. Anyway, let's just cancel out of that one there, and the music theme. This is the other thing I want to talk about. Is you've got all these different sorts of themes that you've actually got all the way through, which is really, really amazing. So even the Snaffy. Here we go. What's the Snaffy theme? Nothing. Good. Good. There's nothing there. If we go and click on one of the other ones, if we go back to which is another one. If we go to the Terran theme, I think we've been listening to. We go to Drengan. Will it play for us? Maybe it won't. Anyway, I'll show you that in just a second. What else is new in here? Nothing much really. Culture is new. We might have a quick look at that one in through this sort of side. So you've got like you've essentially got different cultures and ideologies which we'll talk about in game, and these are then push you a certain way. Now your civilians also push you certain ways like this as well. So this is the AI personality, whether they're going to be sort of authoritarian or cooperative, for example. So each one of these, it's like a yin yang type thing where you've got one that will be sort of one side of our ideology, and then there'll be one on the other side. For example, I forget which ones they all are. I think it's authority and liberty, for example, are opposites. So you end up with sort of like either liberty or authority. You've got creativity and is it harmony? I forget what the other side actually is. Anyway, it ends up. It's quite interesting the way it does actually work in the game. This replaces your good versus evil. It changes the good versus evil into a very interesting, intricate way of actually having things actually happen as well, fairly randomly in the game as well. So things can chop and change through the ideologies, and this is really quite an interesting change to the game without it really being in your face. So it's something that people won't even probably realise that it's there when they sort of play their first few games. It's only later on that you start to think, oh wow, there's a lot of nuance that can actually be done within the game itself. So it's really quite cool the way it sort of does work. Anyway, I won't keep on going through all the different bits and pieces back and through there. Let's just go back. And now if I do go and click on these, we should get like different sound. Have I got the sound up high enough? Yeah, you can hear. I don't know if you can hear the sound. But each faction has got its own sound effects, its own music score. I'll click these. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Really cool. Just the attention to detail with this one. And so you'll see that when we click one of these, we can sort of see that the GalACTIC, for example, their ideology is secrecy, so it believes that secrets are a critical part of success of a successful empire, those kept from other empires and its own citizens. And then the citizens themselves, the GalACTIC have few redeeming qualities. If by a few you mean none, their culture rewards strong action, and concerns like ethics or compassion were lost long ago. Every GalACTIC is a criminal and generates crime. So crime reduces the income of your colony, as well as making it more likely to produce new citizens as criminals, which in turn raises crime. So citizens will also suffer an approval penalty if crime is too high. Let's go and let's just start a game so you can sort of see how this then plays itself out. Now they've got things like abilities, so ignore 10% of all damage done to their ships. All weapons have 10% longer range. And Crime Lord starts allied with the pirates. Also grants access to the look the other way policy, and improvements unlocked by increasing crime. If I just press shift and then hover over crime, so crime reduces the income of your colony, as well as making it more likely to produce new city. Yeah, we've already done that one, haven't we? Yeah, we should do it there. Okay, so same stuff. It's the same stuff. These are carbon based. It's just there's a lot of really nice little, as I say, nuances now in the way that things actually work out. If we just go next, and what I'll do is I'll come back in just a second. I'm just going to go next, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about these other things that we're sort of seeing through here. So here we are. I'll just go done in this instance. So we've got Savot is their core world. When I click on the world itself, we then get a list of different sorts of characters down through this side, and we'll then sort of see that these are the randomly generated characters for the GalACTIC on Savot. So if I go and actually double click Savot and come into the actual world itself, we'll then sort of see them back over here. And if I hover over them, you'll see that they're all happy. Now the approval is vitally important in the game itself now. So they're all pretty damn happy, to be honest. They're all very, very, very happy with their approval. And it does sort of show you when you hover over that what's actually impacting their approval. So at the moment the taxes are too high. They've got also high expectations as well. And so they love their desert planet. Like that's sort of where they are. They're getting +10. I'm guessing that's going to be a GalACTIC style thing. So that would be part of the civilians themselves. And if we then hover over the civilians, we'll then sort of see that they actually give different bonuses. And so these are essentially sort of like they represent the pops on the planet, and so you're going to get like different citizens. We can have up to 9 citizens on the planet itself. As they get overpopulated or get too much population, it's going to then start to sort of that's going to be another negative to the approval as well. And so it's really cool the way this actually does work. There's a lot of nuance in what goes on that you don't have to look at, but if you do want to, you can. And so we can see through here, for example, that Adrena Schnell, representing this sort of group of pops, if we just press shift and then come back through, we can then start to hover over a few of these different sorts of things. This is their basic like intelligence, social diligence, resolve and expectations. these really make a big role, particularly with your leadership. So we'll see them in action as well. So I'll talk about them in just a second. So this one is a libertarian, so an advocate and defender of liberty and freedom, and also a criminal. And so if we just click on criminal, so increases the crime on the planet, but at least they don't complain much about the crime rate as much. So this one, they don't worry about having crime. It keeps them happy, but it does raise crime. So you get an overall corruption. So the status report of SAVOT is showing the pollution is running at 9%. The approval overall is very, very good. So that's actually at 84% is actually ideal. Crime is running very, very high at 19%. And you can see that through there, the way things are actually sort of then working. Most of that is coming from the 5 criminal traits. They're all going to have criminal in the list there under each one of them, sort of down through this area. We've all got it. So when we look at crime, you can see that criminal trait times 5, is sort of certainly having a lot. Plus, the GalActic themselves have another 3%. Warforged and Cutters Guild is going to be showing up. Potentially one of these will have war. That one's pragmatic, authoritarian, criminal. No, it's not showing it there actually. It's not showing it. So maybe, not sure why it's showing that one. It may be that she has. No, she actually doesn't have it either. So I'm not sure where they're getting that Warforged from. The plus 0.5. It's only a small amount. The Cutters Guild. I'm not sure where that's coming from. It may be that their citizens have actually got that as well. If we just go back out, I'll just show you where this actually is in the game. If we go down into the actual leaders, and then from the leaders themselves go and have a look at the factions. These are not employed yet, these particular leaders. It's very important that you get high loyalty leaders. They do have a big bearing in the game, so just be aware of that. This one is not suitable to, so Trened Mator is not really a viable option for us to sort of employ, so we wouldn't really want to spend the money on that one there. If we go to factions, yeah, Warforged is there. There we go. Yeah, so by having these are the each time you play, you're going to have 4 factions in your empire, and so you've got Cutters Guild is one of the factions. We've got Natural League, Singularity, and Warforged. So these are set up with the civilian style that you actually then get to play. We don't get to choose these at the start of the game. So these are almost like the different government parties, and they have different sorts of benefits. You see there that's got plus a 1.8% manufacturing to all our worlds, but we have a 0.6 crime to all our worlds as well. So things sort of, and each of the games that you play, like the different citizens will come in with their own mix of factions that they sort of are part of. This one adds to the military, so we get an extra military bonus, and we have crime on all our worlds in through here. And so you end up finding that some of the people, like I think we had one in Singularity where we have like a bit of a research on all of our worlds, but we have a slight increase to maintenance on all the worlds as well. Actually, no, that's actually a good one. So anyone in Singularity is going to sort of work in fairly well there. The Natural League here, growth based on the members' intelligence, and food decreases based on the members' diligence. Now, we can set up through recruitment. We could, for example, go and employ Okra Isoda and either put them in as ministers, so they can be sort of in charge of different sorts of things. And if we have a look, so intelligence, this is fairly high intelligence there, fairly high social, fairly high diligence. These tend to be this end resolve there as well. So these are different sorts of things that will actually then help with the if they're governing or they're in charge of different aspects of the game itself. If we have a look at governors, at the moment we've got our leader, so Ceridwen in through this side. You can see she's exceptional with what she actually has through these sorts of things as well. But and she of course is the leader, so of course her loyalty is going to be 100% to herself. But this one is actually very, very loyal. You've got diplomats as well, so there's no alien civilizations known. So you end up getting the characters that you end up with become very, very important. Commanders for different ships as well, like that's sort of similar to what's happened in GalCiv 3. And then the factions, you can actually say, okay, well look, I really want this person to be in charge of the Singularity, and it'll sort of then show you that there's the favour that is actually there. So there's actually 6 favour and then 5 favour for Warforged. So there's more people sort of wanting to support this, so we can think, okay, well look, I really want to be pushing Singularity across, so I'll put him in charge of that particular faction. Not that you do this at the start of the game, but it does sort of give you I guess you can put leaders in here essentially and make them part of that particular faction, and then you sort of end up with more favour coming back in through this particular way as well. So there certainly is, in fact you can see there the favour that it gets is nothing in innovation, nothing in transparency, but there is 2 in liberty at that stage, so that's why it's getting 3. This one here has got 1 in authority, 4 in secrecy. Let's talk about that. That's the ideologies that we're looking at there. So the ideologies are now playing a bit of a role. If we just click on done with that one for now and have a bit of a look at the ideologies, which are here. So the ideologies, it even uses the yin-yang symbol, or sort of the yin-yang symbol, to then sort of show this one. So what we end up having with this is where you end up with 2 sides of one coin, or 2 parts of the yin-yang symbol. You've got authority on one side and liberty on the other. Now we actually have representation of both in amongst our citizens. So our citizens want to go with either side of these, and so there's a bit of a pull there between them, between authority with iron fist and self-governance. If we ever look down through, so tradition is we actually do have some traditional points, so we have more traditional. We don't have anything at all in innovation, so you can see there you have 0 of 1 required innovation. So the innovation is not something we have. We do have a slight pull towards tradition back in through this side. Pragmatism, we do actually have a little bit more in pragmatism than we do in compassion, so we don't really sort of follow any sort of kindness, but there are again some citizens that percentage of the citizens sharing this ideology. So we do have one pragmatic citizen that sort of he's sort of wanting, like, he's happy for us to go this way as well. Equality, we don't really have either one of them in here, so we don't have anything in equality. Secrecy, we've actually got 2 there. We've got silver tongue and criminal ties already, but nothing in transparency. Of course, we've got a secretive society. So this is sort of, even though we don't have any civilians that are supporting us, and this is random actually when you play each game. Sometimes you'll end up with citizens that will actually have like more secrecy than what we have in this game. It's just really, really in depth and cool the way it sort of does for them work. So each game has got there's a lot of depths, a lot of layers, I should say, and a lot of depth to the game through these very intricate, but also you don't have to play in this area of the game. You can just sort of let the game sort of just play itself and not worrying too much about it. But I do love that it's got this sort of degree of depth. It allows all sorts of different, just the feeling of the game is very, very different. Individualism, again, you can sort of see that we've got individualism rather than harmony. Harmony is sort of like groupthink, I guess. It believes that the government is strongest when everyone shares a single culture and belief. Or individualism, this is very flexible in through this sort of side. So that's sort of more we are, even though we don't actually have any citizens that are on that side. In cooperation, we don't have either one of them. We're not really sort of working with either side of this. And of course, this can sort of change from game to game. It can change, if each faction that you play, like for example, if you're playing one of the aggressive factions, you're going to be playing with much higher authority. It's just interesting. We do actually have a little bit of authority and liberty in the game that we're actually playing. So there's a bit of a pull there between those 2. This is sort of the new stuff in the game that is really quite cool. The other thing that's quite new, if we just go back out now and just go back to main menu, and we'll just do another new game, and we'll just choose someone else for the sake of choosing someone else. Let's go with these guys here. So new music, silicon-based life form. The ideology is tradition. These use the onyx have no need for organic food, so their growth rate is dependent on the amount of pollution will reduce the growth of a world, and fertility clinics and other population improvements can improve it. So the growth rate is dependent on the small amount of Promethean their civilization holds. So it's a different way of sort of then looking at the like this is a rock-based sort of life form or silicon-based. Anyway, let's just go next. We've skipped past all of this. I've shown you a little bit about how things sort of do work. You can, of course, personalise this as you come into each game if you're wanting to. So you can sort of change the colours, what sort of planet type you actually want to have, etc., etc. We'll just go next. It's not as random as it used to be, actually. If we go back to the homeworld system, actually that's just the name of it, but the planet type itself, actually does have mountainous. I'm not sure if that's... Yeah, I've just noticed that a lot of them don't really change. I haven't seen a random system, which I wish there was. I think that GalCiv 3 used to have a random system, but this one actually doesn't. Anyway, we'll just go next. This is really, really cool. The game is now played in sectors. So you've got like different sliders here from going from a single sector, like the other previous GalCivs, where you sort of all play in one big system, or you sort of then can go through with lots and lots of different sorts of sectors with jump gates between them, essentially. And this is massively different now to sort of play the game. So you want to be controlling the sectors as you sort of play the game. So this is quite interesting to sort of see this, for example, where you've got like areas that you can control and then create choke points. So your fighting now is very much over the jump gates, more so than what it was where it was just played in one great big sort of single sector of the actual galaxy. So as I say, a lot to like about what you're sort of seeing through here now. Like very, very interesting. Not so much, there's choke points in here even as well. Yeah, it's very, very cool. Very cool. So I sort of left the best till last, really, I guess, in the way that sort of does work. What else is new about this? What else is new? Yeah, you've got just got so many different settings. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we need to be having a look at that wasn't there in GalCiv 3. It's just great. Things like you can of course turn these things off. Now I tend to disable tech trading and tech brokering. I don't like them in games, so I tend to have those turned off. Surrender colonies, so colonies transfer ownership. I forget what the defaults. Actually, if I reset to defaults, yeah, so there's no fog of war in your territory. You can see everything that's going on inside there, but I do turn those two things on there. And so the default is to just have two sectors. I love the idea of this. I love the idea of it. So that's like a binary sector with one jump gate in between. It means you've got to take over your sector, control the jump gates, and then take over the second one as well, which is interesting. It's just really, really cool the way it does actually sort of then work. One thing also that people aren't going to like much is the way that research is done. I know that there's some people that don't like it. I don't mind it. It's sort of got like a bit of a random way of handling research. I might just get into a game and just quickly show that as well while we're just doing this episode 0. Anyway, this is really cool. Really cool indeed. So we'll just go next. And this is the default setups as well. I'll just leave them in there, start the game. Oh, did we start with Terran Alliance? Okay, I thought we would show someone else. Anyway, that's all right. We'll just go into research. Now, the way that research works is that you've got research candidates. So you can sort of then have to choose from a random collection of things that are then presented to you. So you can sort of see what's coming still. You can go to the technology library, which will then give you like a list of different sorts of things and tell you about where things actually all are. Like we've got these completed, for example. We don't have the armed shuttles. Asteroid mining we don't actually have at this stage. Space elevators is available to us, but if we just go back, these are what the random ones that have been selected for us. And if we go to the Tech Navigator, again, we've got similar sorts of things in through here where we can sort of see what's available to us and where it actually is on the tech tree. So two different ways of sort of looking at the tech tree. Don't know if we can see much detail with these. So whichever one you prefer, basically, you're going to be able to sort of see what's going where, but of course you can't get certain things without getting other things beforehand. Like if we just go back and the technology library, for example, unlocks and leads to planetology. So you sort of almost need a bit of a combination. If you're wanting to get the detail, this is the screen. If you're wanting to look at the actual what is required to then unlock other things, then you're wanting to go the other way. So space elevators is actually fairly important. Artificial gravity. Okay. This is interesting. Yeah. So it is actually taken from different areas. This is here military. Okay. So you've got military. Like you've got manufacturing, flight, military, and science. Basically, higher level science. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's sort of going to show you the progression. I haven't really had a really close look at all of this actually, just to see where things are. But it's, as I say, the game is just so deep, and it looks great. The game just looks absolutely fantastic. It plays similarly to GalCiv 3 in a lot of ways, but there are certainly, with the way that the governorship of the planets work, you don't have to get bogged down in it, but you can if you're wanting to sort of get some immersion. You can actually do that. Anyway, I'll leave it here. I'll go back. I don't know what we'll play as actually, so I'll just click on done and then just head back to the main menu. Do you want to start a new game? Yes, I'll just go yes back into here. So anyway, that is just a bit of a rundown of GalCiv 4. A lot to like about it. Yeah, there's like the positives really make this game. I think it's going to be the game that will bring people back that didn't like GalCiv 3. I think this will be the one that actually then they think, yeah, this is a worthy successor to GalCiv 2. I never had the problems with GalCiv 3, to be honest, but I know that a lot of you did. A lot of you didn't like it. I think you'll like this one. Anyway, I will be playing the series, so this is, as I say, it's just a bit of an intro to the actual series, just going through what the game has got. And yeah, when we come back, we'll actually start an actual game. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you then.